My wife said, I think we should open our marriage to explore ourselves. I replied, if that's what you want. She had no idea I'd already started packing. What she didn't know was that I'd already accepted the Chicago job, $40,000 more a year, starting in 2 weeks. I'd been turning it down for months trying to save us. But then I saw Brad's texts on her phone. The CrossFit coach who was training her after hours. The one she said was just helping with her form. My stomach dropped when I read them. I knew exactly what was coming when she printed those articles about open marriages. She just didn't know I'd already made my decision. That Wednesday night, Natasha sat me down with her stack of articles about open marriages. She started talking about feeling trapped and needing to explore herself. I sat there watching her mouth move, knowing she'd practiced this speech, probably with Brad's help. She basically wanted my permission to sleep with him guilt-free. If that's what you want, I said calmly, and I watched her eyes go wide because she'd expected me to beg her to reconsider. Thursday morning, the second her car left for the gym, I made 3 phone calls. First, to confirm the Chicago start date. Second, to book my one-way flight. Third, to Anthony, telling him everything. I threw my clothes into a suitcase, my hands surprisingly steady, and left her a note that said, I'm exploring too. By Friday afternoon, I was watching Chicago disappear below me, feeling lighter than I had in years. 3 weeks later, Anthony was keeping me posted on the disaster back home. Natasha was at his bar every Thursday, 3 martinis deep by 9 p.m., telling anyone who'd listen how confused she was about where I went. Brad had her penciled in for Tuesday afternoons, but was juggling 3 other married women from the gym, and she'd started figuring that out. She kept posting these desperate selfies about her authentic journey, but Anthony said her hands shook when she held her phone. She'd been offering people $50 for my hotel information because she was convinced I was sulking at some motel downtown. The thought of her walking into random hotel lobbies, looking for me, actually made me laugh. Meanwhile, I was running a whole department in Chicago, waking up without that knot in my chest, finally remembering what it felt like to actually want to get out of bed. That's when I met Janet at this coffee shop near Pike Place. She was reading an actual book, not staring at her phone. We started talking, and I kept waiting for the catch. I casually mentioned being recently separated, expecting her to make an excuse and leave. She just nodded and kept talking about the book. We had dinner Friday, and I found myself actually listening instead of checking my phone for crisis texts. Saturday, she suggested hiking, and I realized I hadn't felt anxious once all day. By Sunday brunch, I was genuinely confused because everything felt so easy and normal that my body didn't know what to do without the constant tension I'd lived with for years. 5 weeks after I'd left, Natasha finally found out where I really was. First came the professional text. We need to discuss our marriage. My phone buzzed again. Anthony says you're in Chicago? Then the confession that made me actually laugh out loud. Brad ghosted me after 3 weeks. The bargaining started. I deleted all my dating apps. Then the panic hit her. I'm booking a flight right now. My plane lands at 8 p.m. Please pick me up. She called 12 times in 1 hour, and each voicemail sounded more desperate. She was sobbing about how she'd made a terrible mistake, how our friends wouldn't invite her anywhere, how the open marriage was never what she really wanted. I felt absolutely nothing listening to them. I showed Janet the meltdown happening on my phone. She read through everything, handed it back, and said, tell her she's free to keep exploring. I typed that exact message, hit send, and then blocked her number. It felt incredible. Anthony texted me 2 hours later. She just showed up here with a suitcase asking if anyone has your address. Janet smiled at me over her coffee and said, wanna know something funny? I only date one person at a time. We both cracked up at how simple that concept was.